Hey everybody, it's Justice for Comics. It is Tuesday afternoon. I saw some news that might be interesting to highlight. I'm on Bleeding Fool's website. I don't recommend you go on it very often, or if you do, make sure you use a web browser that doesn't allow pop-ups. So make sure you use Brave, because this website will basically crash your computer if you're not careful. So I looked and there was a couple articles I thought I'm not exactly a Rob Liefeld fan. I think everybody knows that has been following my channel for a good length of time. So first of all, there's this article by Rich Johnson. He posts that Liefeld will not sign any New Mutants 98 facsimile editions. So that's interesting. So is he only going to sign the originals? He's not going to sign the copies, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. So here's his post. Somebody messaged him, wondering what your signature fee would be, also, and any sketch covers, that kind of thing. And he says, "Won't be signing any of those facsimile editions. Thanks." So. Yeah, Rob Liefeld. I mean, biggest douchebag in comics by far is Rob Liefeld. He's been successful. He's made lots of money. It's called being at the right place at the right time. That's all it is. A lot of people that have been successful, you can literally point to the fact that they weren't really a genius. They were just at the right place at the right time, and all they had to do was put the ball in play, and they became successful. So it says here in the article, 2 years ago, he was charging $60 to sign New Mutants 98, and it's only risen since. I think I remember hearing lately that anything he would sign was $100 minimum, which is crazy. I mean, his signature's not worth $100. Are you kidding me? I don't think it's worth $25, let alone $100. Yeah, so again, Rob Liefeld loves to piss off people. And I don't really care. I'm not ever going to seek a signature from Liefeld. I could care less about meeting him, and I don't like his comic books. And then here's another article mentioning Rob Liefeld, that he quits Twitter following a DC tweet controversy. So apparently, I never really thought Rob Liefeld had a beef with DC. I know he's gotten along. To my knowledge, he's gotten along pretty well with Jim Lee in the past. I know of all the people at Image that had run-ins with Rob Liefeld, I know Jim Lee was probably the only guy that kind of stayed clear of a lot of the controversy. I know McFarlane didn't like him. I know Mark Silvestri couldn't stand him. I think they really went at it. But yeah, there's a lot of guys at Image didn't care for Liefeld. He was literally booted out. I don't know if that was the third or fourth year of when Image was around. I know at some point they all agreed to boot him out of the company. But I don't think Jim Lee ever had any problems with Rob Liefeld. So I don't know. He's kind of picking on DC. He says, "Yeah, I've never seen a company in as much disarray as DC Comics. Thank God they have Batman to act as their Tylenol, aspirin, and laughing gas. More Batman will fix it." So okay, I'm not going to totally say that what he's saying doesn't have some merit. The comic book industry is definitely having problems. I mean, let's face it. Your best-selling comic book, or at least the top 3 comic books, are either a DC book or a Marvel book. Lately, it's been Marvel, and you're going to sell maybe 100,000 in a month, and that's to shops, right? That doesn't mean that's sales to actual customers. That's orders and delivery through Diamond to shops. So around 100,000 is kind of typical. Sometimes it goes to 120. But I can't remember the last time I saw a comic book, you know, really do exceedingly well without it being a major event like an Action Comics 1000. And of course, they just printed the crap out of that. Detective 1000, they printed the crap out of that. And if you go to any comic book shop today, yeah, you're going to find lots of those A and B covers just, sitting on the shelf. They're not selling. I mean, the demand for comic books is definitely not what it was. And there's a lot of reasons for it. Young people today don't want to spend the money on it. Most young kids today, 14, 15, 16. I mean, that's when I started buying comic books, was 14, 15, 16, that range. I think I probably had a few when I was 12 or 13, but for the most part, I didn't really get into comic books until I was 14, 15, that range. And if you look at the average 14, 15-year-old kid today, he's not buying comic books. Not happening. Most of the comic books bought today are 30-year-olds and up. That's kind of the sweet spot of the investing public. And, a lot of speculators, a lot of investors. So, there is some merit to the idea that, comic books have some problems. So he just goes on a tirade here, Rob Liefeld. He gets into, looks like he gets into some arguments here with a few people, and he makes a comment about Jim Lee. Hey, maybe Jim Lee will go back to drawing X-Men again if DC falters. And so I mean, it's really easy to pick on Liefeld. I mean, he's not a talented artist in my opinion. He says a lot of douchebag things. I mean, wasn't it just a month or two ago he got it, basically kind of got a few people pissed off because that Major X came out and he's like, I'm not signing any copies of that other book that basically drew in his character, was supposedly without his permission. Although I don't think he needed his permission, but I thought that was pretty funny. So supposedly here in this article, Rob Liefeld is quitting Twitter. So he's bailing out of Twitter, which I think is at least the second time he's done that. I thought I remember before that he'd left Twitter, but Rob Liefeld, you're such an easy target. It's interesting here, he gets a lot of flack for not drawing feet. And then here in the article it says, was it on Instagram where Liefeld accused Mike Mignola and Mark Silvestri of pioneering the art of not drawing feet? Yeah, Mark Silvestri and Liefeld really, really, really don't like each other. That is very well known in the comic book industry. So I don't know. This article is written by Jude Terror. I don't know. It's got an interesting name. Jude Terror? Is that really his last name? Terror? I don't believe it. I think he's made, that's a stage name or ghost name. I don't know. That name doesn't seem legit to me, but all right. Jude Terror. Very good. This is definitely entertaining. He doesn't like DC. I mean, I think he did a couple books for DC several years ago. I think he drew for Deathstroke, if I'm not mistaken. There was a couple titles, Hawkman, maybe a Deathstroke. I know he did a little bit of work for DC, and it doesn't sound like they got along the best. There's the troll spray. So Rob Liefeld. Oh, Rob, your douchebaggery knows no end. It is entertaining, though. I got to say, I'm always entertained at some of the stuff he says. I mean, it's pretty funny. He gets into it with people. I don't know. He might be kind of cool to hang out with. I don't think he's a very good artist. I mean, his artwork doesn't do anything for me. It's very 90s. His artwork never evolved either. I mean, he basically draws exactly the same way he did in the 90s. He hasn't really evolved his style at all. I don't think he cares to. He is kind of, in my opinion, he's kind of a lazy artist. And his run is coming to an end with Major X. I think that's ending that series soon. yeah, so we'll see what happens here with Liefeld. DC, they've definitely had their issues. Marvel seems to be gaining ground on them lately. Maybe that's why he's making those comments. He's obviously more of a Marvel guy. Yeah, but I just thought that was worth kind of doing this short video on. Also, the thing that's interesting is CBR had an interesting article about basically the streaming services. You're seeing cancellations like crazy. Swamp Thing canceled. I think I saw the rumor that maybe Titans is getting canceled. I mean, I don't know if that's exactly true. I saw somebody posted something on Instagram about it. So I don't know if that's confirmed. Yeah, I know there's an article here talking about supposedly the demise maybe of, or the bubble popping in the streaming, a lot of these streaming services. Swamp Thing's a little shocking that already got canceled. What else I think something else got canceled. I'm trying to see here where the article was. I think it was on maybe oh yeah, here we go. All right, so Swamp Thing's cancellation is a sign that streaming bubble is bursting. So DC Universe is under some pressure right now. The Swamp Thing, they promoted the hell out of Swamp Thing. I saw commercials after commercials for that. They really, I spent a lot of money promoting it, and for them to cancel it that fast is a little shocking. And if they lose Titans, if that rumor is true that Titans is going to be canceled, I mean, what do you got left? I mean, am I going to continue to subscribe to DC Universe after Swamp Thing and Titans is over? I don't know. I mean, unless they come out with something really good, $8 a month. I don't know. I mean, Doom Patrol I liked, but I don't think I would spend just $8 a month for DC Universe streaming if all it really had was Doom Patrol. And Krypton, it's okay. It's not fantastic. Swamp Thing was one of the only things. I mean, I subscribed to it to watch Doom Patrol. I liked it. I thought it was great. It was funny. One of my favorite shows. And then I watched Titans. Titans was okay. I mean, I can understand why Titans is getting canceled maybe because it wasn't that fantastic. But Swamp Thing I was excited for Swamp Thing because I love Swamp Thing. I like the fact that they were going full on, rated R horror type of style. They weren't holding back. That made me really interested in continuing my subscription with DC Universe. But now I think after I'm done watching Swamp Thing, I'll probably cancel the service. I mean, unless something else comes out. I mean, I don't know that I'll just watch it for Doom Patrol. Yeah, so maybe this streaming service stuff is starting to burst. I don't know. Now you got Disney streaming service coming out later in the year. It'll be interesting to see if they formulate some new shows, if they bring in some new property, some properties from the Marvel Universe and start making some shows. That could be interesting. So I'm not going to say streaming is it's definitely not a dying industry. If anything, what's dying is cable, right? Cable TV. A lot of people I've known in the last 6 months to a year have canceled their cable contracts. I did the same thing. All I have is high-speed internet, and I have a subscription to Netflix and a subscription to Hulu and DC Universe. And I get a lot of content, with those subscription services. I'm constantly watching something. And now you got Sling TV, right? So if you were into several different cable programs and you like HBO, you can go on Sling and you can kind of buy a package with a lot of those different channels. So I don't think streaming is dead. I don't think the bubble is bursting. I mean, yeah, I think there's problems with DC Universe, so maybe that's going to have to get revamped. It's definitely on the, maybe DC Universe is on the downswing right now. But I definitely would not ever say that streaming is in a bubble and that it's bursting, and no way. If anything, that's one trend that I would say is only going to get hotter and hotter, is the number of streaming services that will be coming online. I think you're going to see more content providers do streaming. I just think you're going to see more and more of that. So I don't think that bubble is going to burst anytime soon, in my opinion. But yeah, DC Universe, they definitely have some issues and problems right now. I hope they get it resolved. I mean, I think it would be awesome for them to develop some really cool TV shows or streaming shows off of some of their characters. And yeah, I'm very disappointed that Swamp Thing didn't go the distance. Hey, you never know. Maybe they'll try to bring it back. I mean, I don't know. At this point, I guess it seems unlikely. But yeah, so that's kind of all I had. Just a little bit of comic book news that I thought was interesting, and maybe you guys wanted to know about it. I will have my video out probably late tomorrow afternoon, highlighting the books that are coming out for New Comic Book Day tomorrow. So if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell for notifications, and leave me a comment. Let me know. Give me your opinion. What do you think about Rob Liefeld? You like him, hate him? You think he's talented, not talented? And what do you think about streaming, DC Universe, some of these streaming services? Yeah, I'd like to hear your opinion on those. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Have a good night.